dividing with integers. 28 35ths. 28 is 4 times 7. 35 is 5 times 7. I can simplify this fraction, or I can find this quotient by finding a factor common to the numerator and the denominator. So if I set up my division problem with a fraction bar or a division bar instead, I'm looking for a common factor to the numerator and denominator. And in this case, the 7 divided by 7, or 7/7, has a value of 1. Any number times 1 is the number itself. And so we've seen this before. 28 35ths has a 7 common to the numerator and denominator, and that will simplify to just 4/5. Now, if instead of 28 35ths, we had negative 28 35ths, what changes? What stays the same? Well, the only change is now I have a negative 1 as a factor. 7 is still divisible by 7. To leave 1, 7 divided by 7 is 1. And instead of 4/5, I get negative 4/5. It would be no different if that negative sign were on the 35. And we had 28 negative 35ths. Again, negative sign upstairs or downstairs, doesn't matter. Negative sign out to the side, doesn't matter. So I like to see this as a factor either upstairs or a factor downstairs. The 7's cancel, as before, and we get negative 4/5 again. What happens if it's negative 28 divided by negative 35? Well, in the same way that 7 divided by 7 leaves 1, factor common to the numerator and denominator, this negative 1 over here is common to the numerator and the denominator. Any factor divided by itself is 1 and cancels out. Any factor divided by itself is 1 and cancels out. And so that we see a positive number divided by a positive number gives a positive quotient. We see that a negative number divided by a positive number gives a negative quotient. We see that a positive number divided by a negative number also gives a negative quotient. And we're just paying attention to factors. If I have two negatives that are common factors, in the case of a negative 28 divided by a negative 35, in the same way the 7's cancel, well, those negative signs cancel. But if I only have one negative sign or one negative factor, they won't cancel. So again, 28 35ths, positive 4/5. Negative 28 35ths, negative 4/5. And finally, negative 28 35ths, positive 4/5.